You're listening to Arirang Radio's Wonders of Jeju. This is a segment where we tell you about the lives of people living right here on the island. I'm your host, DJ Jamie. This is Humans of Jeju. We've got Jay in the studio today to introduce another wonderful Jeju human being. But before we dive into that, how are you doing?
Very good. Actually, I had a really fun week.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I got to hang out with some of my friends.
Okay.
And we had a
You've been
great
doing
week.
a lot of that recently.
Yeah.
That's good.
I've been playing a little bit balls and, hanging with friends.
Oh, that's good. Because especially the weather is getting so pretty these days.
So much better, yes.
Oh, it's so nice.
Yes, it is.
Finally.
But I went to the dentist today.
Oh, no.
And that was not a fun experience.
Oh, no. Yes. Okay, well, hopefully it'll get...
Little.
You went because you had pain in your
Well, I just
teeth?
wanted to have a overall checkup.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but then they're like, you should do this and that. And I was like, all right, let's go for it.
And now
I'm regretting it.
But perhaps it was for the better.
Yes.
Because if you didn't go, it might have got worse later on, right?
That's true,
Let's
too.
think positively.
Yes, let's be positive.
Okay. No pain, no gain.
Oh, yes. I like that.
Okay, well, you're getting some hellos from our audience. So
hello, everybody.
Hello back to everybody. Okay, Jay, so let's dive into today's human.
So one thing I've noticed, we've introduced many humans of Jeju. Mm-hmm. And it seems like many people in Jeju do more than just one thing.
You mean like work?
Yeah, like work-wise.
And career-wise.
Yeah, like, they do this and that. I know, Jamie, you do more than just one thing too, right?
That's right. And you do too.
Yeah, me too. That's true too. But why do you think that is?
It could be several reasons. Well, the biggest reason is that Jeju Island is quite small, right, compared to the mainland.
Okay.
So it's not easy to find like a main job for most people. Mm-hmm. In my case, it's different because I'm a freelancer.
Okay.
So that's why I do this and that.
Right.
Right. Mm-hmm. What about you?
Well, I feel like there's more things. You have more time. You feel like.
Oh
here.
yeah. That
so
could
you're
be a
able
good
to do
reason
this
too.
and that, and also I think like the culture here is somewhat made that way.
Oh, really?
You have to do a lot of things on your own. Whereas, in the maybe in the mainland or in the cities, everything is kind of
organized.
Organized in certain ways and done by other people.
I see. Okay.
So that kind of opened things up about whom we're going to introduce today.
Okay.
So why don't we listen?
Let's do that.
안녕하세요. 저는 제주에서 시 쓰고 에세이도 쓰고 있는 강지혜라고 합니다. 제주에서 사실 글만 쓰는 사람으로 사는 게 아니고 숙소도 관리를 하고 큰 개 한 마리, 작은 아이 하나 이렇게 또 키우는 일들도 하고 있고요. 문화 기획하는 일도 조금씩 하고 그래서 사실 저는 스스로를 시인이라고 소개하기보다는 엔잡러라고 이야기를 하는 편이긴 해요. 그래서 제주에서 여러 가지 일을 하고 있는 강지혜라는 사람입니다. 반갑습니다.
Okay, so we have a lovely lady today. Please explain.
Yes, today we introduce writer who writes poems and essays. Her name is Kang Jihye, but actually does so much more than just writing while living in Jeju. So instead of introducing herself as a poet, she likes to introduce herself as an end jobber who writes. She even runs an accommodation, does a little bit of culture planning. She takes care of her big dog, as well as she raised a little child of her own as well.
Oh, also a child. Wow. Well, I really think end jobbers who are able to handle many jobs are incredible people indeed. Since when has Kang Jihye lived as an end jobber? Can you explain?
Yes. Actually, before coming to Jeju, she basically had one main job, which was revolved around writing. So while living in the mainland, she worked as a script writer. She was a journalist. She was a freelancer and even had lectures as well. In the city, she felt like just an ordinary city person. And that is pretty much, in the city, everything is pretty much structured out for us, the way we should live. However, coming to Jeju, she feels like she was able to earn the chance to design her life on her own. So there are many work that she does on the island, but at the same time, she feels like here on the island, she's able to identify herself with various titles, such as she's a poet, she's a mother, she's an owner who runs an accommodation, she's a culture planner, and so on.
I like that word, culture planner. It's very interesting. Well, so instead of just living a life that is planned out or just going with the flow, she designs her own life in the way that she wants to. And that is incredible because a lot of people want to do that, but actually cannot do it.
That's true.
It seems like one of the important work that she does is managing an accommodation because that takes a lot of energy and planning, right? What type of accommodation does she manage?
So before, when she came to Jeju, guest house was very popular here.
Yeah, that's right.
And she was actually planning on preparing such thing like a share house. But as COVID broke out, the trend of traveling has kind of changed.
Yes.
So like a rental house, she manages a single family house. With her husband, they run 2 single family houses, each taking care of one house each. One of the houses located in a very rural village of Jeju City called Yongdangli. Here, they remodeled an old thatched roof house.
Oh, wow.
And they rent that out. And this is a house. This house is the house that Kang Jihye manages.
Okay.
And the name is Jeju 와서, which has 2 meanings. One meaning village in the west end of Jeju. And another is Jeju language meaning, are you in Jeju? Like Jeju 와서.
제주 와서.
And another house which her husband runs is located in a quiet village called Cheongsuri.
Oh, that's a lovely area too.
Yeah, that is. And the name of the house is Murut.
Oh, beautiful name.
And Murut is Korean word meaning generally speaking. So it's used like Murut 사람이란, Murut 제주란.
Oh, really? Okay, we're learning some Jeju dialect today.
But also, Murut is a name of a wild flower that grows in Jeju Island.
Oh.
The house here is actually newly built house, but was built through remodeling as well.
Oh, beautiful. By the way, we posted some pictures on Instagram.
Yes.
So if you want to go check, it's at WOJ_Arirang. You can see the pictures that we're talking about, these accommodations. So for those who may be curious about the house, please go check it on our Instagram. And, we're talking about 2 different types of accommodations here, right? So both houses were built through remodeling. I'm wondering, though, did she do the remodeling herself?
She mentioned that the first work she did when she came to Jeju was actually revolved around remodeling. Here she has done like 4 remodeling.
Wow.
She remodeled the house that her family lives.
Oh, wow.
She also remodeled the restaurant that she ran.
Ooh.
And the 2 houses that we just mentioned.
Wow.
And which they are managing right now. So she and her husband, along with their little brother, the 3 did the remodeling in order to save labor cost on their own. And even doing this, she says they were able to discover her husband's new talent.
Oh, yeah, indeed.
So he had talent for like remodeling, like doing houseworks. And she did a lot of studying on her own. She even made a photo zone around the rental houses. And even she made the backyard look and feel more like Jeju style.
Oh, I love this. I mean, this is like a dream for me too. Like one day I would like to remodel Jeju houses and do exactly what she's doing.
Yeah, me too. I thought about this as well. Yes.
There you go. All right, well, let's continue on. Is the life in Jeju the way she had imagined, I wonder?
Why don't we listen first?
Okay.
제주도에 처음에 왔을 때는 아무래도 이주하시는 분들 되게 다 로망이 엄청 강하게 오시겠죠. 막 제주도의 그런 어떤 따뜻한 기후, 그리고 거기서 좀 여유로운 삶, 이제 이런 걸 저도 뭐 물론 그렇게 생각을 하고 온 거고. 그런데 식당에서부터 이제 뭐 리모델링도 직접 하게 되고, 그러면서 정말 많이 힘들었죠. 오롯이 스스로 뭔가를 해나가야 되다 보니까 그것을 주체적으로 깨닫는 것 자체가 되게 어려웠던 것 같아요. 누가 시키는 일이 아니라 내가 해야 하고 싶고 그걸 하지 않으면 나한테 불이익까지 생길 수도 있는 것들을 직접 처리해 나간다는 게 생각보다 그 모드 전환이 좀 어려웠던 것 같아요. 숙소를 시작하면서부터는 이 공간에 완벽하게 주인은 나고 여기를 어떻게 디자인하는지는 다 모두 다 내 몫이고 여기서 일어나는 크고 작은 안 좋고 좋은 일들이 다 내가 처리를 해야 되는 거구나를 좀 확실하게 깨닫고 나서부터는 그때부터는 조금 좀 더 관점이 달라지니까 좀 더 능동적으로 주체적으로 이제 일을 할 수 있게 됐던 것 같아요.
She says something very meaningful here. Please explain.
So like many people, when she moved to Jeju, she also came to the island filled with dreams. She dreamed of living in a very warm island and living a relaxing life. But actually, from running a restaurant to remodeling house on her own, things were very tough at first.
I can imagine.
Right. Unlike the life in the city where we feel like we live in a certain system, here in Jeju, she learned that she has to independently make that life for herself.
Right.
And that was not easy as well.
Of course.
Now she was no longer doing what someone was telling her to do, but had to do what she wants to do. So even all the unfavorable things that came from that, she had to handle on her own. And all the changes for her was not easy. From starting an accommodation, she learned that being the owner, she had full control over the place and had to make decisions such as design, and everything was all
Done on her
up to her.
own.
You're right.
Yeah, exactly.
So realizing that she had to take full responsibility for all the big and small things, while living in Jeju, her perspective in life had begun to change, where it was now more active and she was more independent.
I see. Yeah, definitely. I hear stories from people who try renovating traditional houses, and they bump into a lot of difficulties as they do this because it's a different structure. And if you're moving here to the island, you may not have the connections to do it sometimes, and it can get very difficult, they say. So that I can see that it must have been a very difficult job, but she did a very nice job of doing it. It seems like life in Jeju for Kang Jihye brought a great change in her perspective. But running an accommodation, raising a kid at the same time, and a big pet, wow, it sounds like a life as a poet wasn't easy for her as well.
Yeah, she mentioned that trying to maintain herself as a poet was probably the toughest thing that she had to do.
Okay, there you go.
For her, writing is something she longed to do and is on top of her list for making a living. But as other work such as like raising her child and even doing caring work and running an accommodation had become things that she must do, it seemed like writing kept getting pushed back on her priority.
Right.
But whenever, someone asked her what her job is, in her heart, she thinks herself as a writer, she mentioned.
Oh, okay. So that is her passion indeed. Then how was she able to continue with her writing?
So continuing to make efforts to keep writing part of her life, she found a special place, which is her workplace. Where she's able to continue her life as a writer and also a cultural planner.
Oh, cultural planner. I love that word.
And in this space, she was able to find her identity as a writer. And even right in front of her workspace, there was an independent bookstore named 무명 서점. And with them, she was able to do various cultural planning.
Okay. I've heard of this 서점.
Yes.
All right, yes.
There are many young writers around Jeju Island, and even where she lives, there are many Jeju native writers. So gathering them all together, she even planned an exhibition and even built a workshop all together.
Oh, I see. Interesting. So having her own workspace and along with the village bookstore, Kang Jihye was able to continue her life as a poet in Jeju. But when did she debut as a poet, and why did she want to become a poet in the first place?
So first, she actually majored in creative writing. And at the time, she says she enjoyed her writing. She liked her writing being judged.
Whoa, really?
And she received a lot of praises as well, which even made her enjoy it more.
Yes, indeed.
But also, she was a part of a club, and in that club, there was a senior who was very good at writing poems, she said. And she really admired that person's talent and wanted to become a better writer than that person.
She was inspired.
And so that was when she began to write poem. She worked very hard on it. So like that, in 2013, she participated in a contest through which her work was selected.
Okay.
And she got to debut as a poet.
Wow. She found her skill and talent. That's awesome.
Yes. So her first book of poetry was titled 내가 훔친 기적, The Miracle I Stole. And this was in 2017. And after 5 years now, soon her second book of poetry is going to come out.
Oh, wow.
And it's titled 이건 우리만의 비밀이지.
Which means?
This is our secret.
Okay. Well, that's great. But by the title of the two books, it sounds like the two stories are very different.
Yes, you're right. She says that's because she moved to Jeju in between. When she wrote her first book, it was about her stories when she was in her youth and in her 20s and the life in the city.
I see.
But then for her second book, she wrote poems about things that need caring, such as like Jeju nature. It needs caring.
Right.
She also wrote about her child and her pet Shinji as well.
Oh, the name of the pet is Shinji.
So moving to Jeju, her kind of stories changed.
I see.
What she focuses on.
I see. Just like an artist does.
If you are in Jeju,
88.7 in Jeju City.
88.1 in Seogwipo City.
101.9 in the Daejeong area.
Arirang Radio.
All right, Jay, we were talking earlier about Kang Jihye and how she became a poet and talked a little bit about her books as well. But when it comes to poems, there are many who think it is very difficult to write a poem. Did she share, or to understand a poem as well, did she share anything for those people who kind of find poems difficult?
Yes, actually, I'm one of those people. And I find poems very difficult. But she provided a very interesting answer. So let's listen first.
시는 제가 강의할 때도 하는 얘기지만 줄글이랑 좀 다르게 시를 본다라고 하면 그냥 그림을 보신다고 생각하면 가장 쉽거든요. 그래서 글자가 만들어내는 그림을 본다. 그 중에서도 되게 좀 서사가 많은 그림이 있고 그러면 약간 영화 보는 것처럼 생각하시면 되고 좀 서사가 별로 없는 그림이 있으면 그냥 어떤 전시관에 가서 한 장 한 장의 그림을 보신다고 생각하면 조금 접근이 쉬우실 것 같은데 시인들은 이제 각자만의 어떤 방식으로 그런 그림들을 만들어내는데 그 그림이 나한테 별로 감흥이 없을 수도 있고 되게 독특하고 또는 엄청 뭔가 불친절한 그림인 것 같은데 어떤 나한테 확 오는 지점이 있을 수도 있거든요. 그래서 그냥 그 정도만 느껴주셔도 사실 시를 쓰는 사람 입장에서는 되게 고마운 일이지 않을까라는 생각이 들고 그래서 제 시는 제가 그리는 그림 같은 거죠. 예를 들면 어떤 시는 불편함을 느꼈던 것을 가지고 썼기 때문에 사람들이 불편함을 같이 좀 느꼈으면 좋겠고 어떤 순간은 내가 너무 감동적이었고 너무 아름다운 걸 보고 그걸 언어로 그렸기 때문에 다른 사람들도 그 아름다움을 좀 느꼈으면 좋겠고 이런 정도로 생각을 해주면 될 것 같아요. 일단 어렵다고 생각하는 것 자체가 어렵게 만들기 때문에 그냥 뭐 이것도 그림이지 뭐 이렇게 생각하고 읽어주시면 가장 좋을 것 같아요.
Every time I hear these stories of humans, I feel like different people are just expressing themselves in different ways.
Yes.
And so, today's human is also expressing herself through poets.
Right.
Can you explain in a little bit more detail?
So she shared with us something that she mentions in her lecture, and that is when reading a poem, look at it as looking at a picture, she says.
Yeah.
So it's like looking at a drawing made with words. Among those, if you look at a poem that looks like a drawing with lots of descriptions, then think of it like a movie. And if you look at a poem that looks like a drawing with little descriptions, then think of it as a piece of drawing that you would see at an exhibition.
Right.
This will help you to approach poem a little easier. Like that, poets create such drawings using their own methods. And in those drawings, some may not come to, some may be unique, others may make you feel uncomfortable, and some may touch your heart. And just feeling that emotion, she thinks, are what poets are grateful for. And so her poems are like drawings that she draws. So if you think a poem as something that is difficult, then it becomes difficult.
Right.
But if you think of it easily, like a drawing, it can be a easier thing to approach to.
That is a great way. I love her explanation. So adapting to the life in Jeju and overcoming the difficult situations. Is her life in Jeju more satisfying now, I hope? And what is most satisfying about life in Jeju for her?
Yes. Also, she does camping around the island, which
camping.
which is one of the things she enjoys the most, living on Jeju Island. She's able to often enjoy outdoor camping. Because of COVID, many of her friends in the mainland actually started camping, and she did as well. And Jeju is a great place for camping since just 15 minutes of drive takes you to Hyupje, Gumneung,
Yeah.
Woljeongni, and also it's fun to find like the hidden places. Also being able to let her child run around freely, she doesn't feel the burden of raising a child, and family is able to enjoy it all together.
Right.
So camping is one of the things that she says is most satisfying about the life in Jeju.
Because it brings the family together too. Well, it seems like she's really enjoying life in Jeju. That sounds awesome. Is there a travel course that poet Kang Jihye would like to recommend to our listeners?
Yes, let's listen first.
제가 제주 서쪽에 살고 있고 저는 그런 얘기를 들었어요. 그 상업이 번성하는 곳이 서쪽에 좀 더 많다는 얘기가 왜냐면 노을이 져야 릴렉스 하게 되고 풍류 이런 걸 좀 즐길 수 있게 되는 그래서 서쪽에 저는 약간 그런 풍류가 있다고 생각을 하거든요. 제주 서쪽에. 특히 노을 지는 게 너무 아름다운 곳이기도 하고 또 제가 살고 있는 한경면 고산리가 가장 서쪽이기도 하고요. 제가 제일 좋아하는 노을 스팟은 차귀도 포구에 차를 주차를 하시고 거기서부터 이제 엉아해변을 따라 걷는 거죠. 오른쪽에는 바다가 왼쪽에는 그 단층이 보여요. 단층의 생성 과정이나 이런 것들을 잘 볼 수 있는 단층이고 그리고 심지어 되게 아름다워요. 제가 봤을 때는 색감도 그렇고 거기에 가을에 진짜 특히 아름다운데 거기에 이제 쑥부쟁이 같은 게 막 피면 그 파란 꽃인데 파란 꽃이랑 그 단층의 어떤 그 모노톤들이랑 막 어우러지면서 엄청 아름다운 색깔이 나오거든요. 근데 거기에 노을이 이제 오른쪽으로 빨갛게 지면 엄청 진짜 그림 같은 풍경이죠. 가을에 해질녘에 엉아해변을 산책하시는 거를 꼭 추천드려요.
Tell us what she says.
So while living in the west side of Jeju Island, she's heard that the west is a popular place because this is where the sun sets.
Exactly.
And through it, people are able to relax and enjoy. So the west is the place of relaxation and enjoyment. And the village she lives in, which is called Gosanli, is where the sunset is most beautiful, she says.
고산리. Okay.
The spot that she especially likes is the Chagido Harbor, where she likes to park her car and walk the Ongar coast. Here, you're able to see the coastal cliffs made of sedimentary layers, and the colors are especially beautiful. She says there's blue flowers growing on the cliffs as well.
Blue flowers. Wow.
So with the beautiful cliff on the left and the beautiful sunset on the right, it's a beautiful scenery that she recommends our listeners to visit.
I see. Well, thank you for sharing that. I believe she has one more place she would like to recommend as well.
Yes. Lastly, she would like to recommend visiting the small bookstore in Gosanli called 무명 서점.
Okay.
This is the bookstore she thinks is the place that pulled her out of a pit.
Oh.
While struggling, this was the place that helped her to meet people, continue her work of art, and even find time to finding herself.
Ooh.
Also, independent bookstores are curation of owners who built the bookstore. So there are many precious books that you can find at the bookstore, and it's fun to see such curation of the owner. So she hopes more people are able to see this amazing curation of 무명 서점 during their Jeju travel as well.
I will definitely put that on my bucket list. Thank you so much, Jay, for introducing to us today's poem, Kang Jihye. It was very interesting to hear her story, and thank you for working so hard in introducing all these people. We'll see you again next week.
Thank you.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that segment. If you're curious to find out more about Jeju, we encourage you to go check out our website at arirangradio.com/Wonders of Jeju. Or you can check out our Facebook page at Wonders of Jeju, as well as our Instagram page at Wonders of Jeju. We're going to take you on a journey to learn more about what's happening here on the island.